Welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophia, pilot into the universe of Chinese. Let's continue exploring supposedly classical China era character. And yesterday we talked about Xing, punishment. And today we're going to talk about Fa, penalize. Okay, I roughly translate it as punishment and then penalty, like penalize. The two in English would be punishment. Punishment has a broader sense. Um, and with a varying degree of punishment versus penalty is a specific um, set of rules. It's more like in a commercial or professional or regulation type of thing that's penalized most often, like with financial penalization or like license of doing something. So it's not possibly physical. So in that sense, it's kind of mapped to the Chinese 刑 versus 罚. 刑 is corporal punishment for sure. There's knife in there, but it would say, oh, here there is knife in here too. That implies inflicting pain. Like you got to be punished for the wrongdoing, right? But here the big distinction here is well, in at least traditional Chinese, we see this is the words, the speaking. So that kind of changed the quality, qualitatively change the type of punishment. It's more verbal. So in ancient times, fa would also be mostly related to get penalized financially, get, I guess, verbally criticize or something like give you moral pressure instead of inflicting pain. So fa and xing in also ancient classical books, reading of even more ancient text. Scholars back then, like 1,000 years ago, differentiate fa would be the lighter end of punishment versus xing is the heavier end that's inflicting pain. So it's kind of crossing the boundary of your skin, right? It's going to get underneath the skin, kind of a pain inflicting punishment versus fa would be, morally, verbally, financially. So it's lighter end. And simplified versus traditional only difference is this, we call it 言字旁, this dot, and this thing, kind of like a Z, but tilted. That's speaking. And the fully spelled one will be this, involves a mouse symbol and the words on the top here. Versus ancient times here, we have, this is kind of even more ancient way of spell out what speaking is about. I've done this so many times. Okay, this is the mouse symbol, but then the top, if you get rid of the two horizontal lines on the very top, the rest of them is the tongue symbol because here, this finger, almost finger pointing down with a spike pointing toward the mouse, shows you the direction of entering something. And then the horizontal line is a marker to say this entered thing is what we're talking about, not the action of entering, but the result of entering. And as it connected to the mouse symbol, it is inside the mouse. What is inside the mouse is the tongue. It's the deduction of thinking about this icon. We have this entering and enter and then we have this mouse symbol together combined. We deduce, oh, that's the tongue. So here we have both the tongue and the mouse because the tongue has to made with the mouse symbol. And then we have two horizontal lines, which is let it out, which is the outer the heaven and earth, which is the space that we exist. And so when we have our tongue and a mouth in there and have the space sense means we let it out. We didn't hold our voice in. We let ourselves heard. So that becomes Chinese speaking. And speaking in contemporary traditional Chinese here, both traditional and simplified have this box thing with two vertical lines, and but in ancient 2000 years ago version, it's more like a frame with crosses in, and that is our net. And the net was ancient, I guess, catch mechanism. They need to put up the net to wait for the animals, to capture animals. But the net at the same time also means to control, to harness. So you want to keep people's behavior in control. So you net it in with verbal. The knife means punishment, right? Verbal punishment. So the purpose is to put a boundary on social behavior. That's the net. And with the penalizing is with verbal mostly. And the knife means still inflicting some sort of pain. It's just not physical pain anymore. It's penalizing. Okay, so here, 惩罚, we have, well, I translate it as penalize and punish, which is probably not exactly true. 惩, we have the heart symbol over here. It's more like pounding on your moral sense to make you feel guilty. And 罚 is more like financially make you pay for the mistake you made. Okay, that's 惩罚. We have 罚款 here is even more explicit. You penalize with what is fund, is transaction, oftentimes, but in this case, it's kind of transaction for the mistake you made. You break some law, you pay for the wrongdoing, and that's 罚款. 罪与罚, crime and punishment. That's how Chinese translate the crime and punishment. And actually, as we know the distinction now of what is penalized versus punishment, the English comparison versus the Chinese 刑与罚. Okay, so 与 means and. Okay, we know 罪 is crime. Okay, as you can see here, they share the symbol, this box with two lines. It's kind of, you can view it as the grid line or the boundary of society. And here at the bottom, that means opposite. So you're doing something opposite to the boundary. That means you break the law, therefore it's a crime. I mean, everything is so readable here. And punishment. So here we know is penalized. However, English version, the title of Dostoevsky's famous novel was translated as punishment. But the Chinese translate as penalize, actually, right? Because it's a psychological punishment. It's not about inflicting pain, like you got caught by the law enforcement. Mostly it's this internal dialogue of this main character. So that to me is more appropriately translated as in the Chinese version as 罚 is penalized. Like you're morally with this net, with this speaking, this verbal, this internal conversation going on with this person. And that's like a knife cutting his soul, something like that, right? Versus punishment is more exterior. It's more procedural, executed by authority over a person. This is almost like a self-punishment. All right, so that's crime and punishment. There you go, 罚 in Chinese. Thank you very much for your time. See you another day.